Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Code with Abhinay. In the previous video, we started our HTML journey. We have understood what HTML is, why it is used, and we also looked at the basic HTML document structure. We also discussed three important concepts, which are elements, tags, and attributes. And we even wrote our very first basic HTML skeleton. In the structure, we saw two important sections, which is head and the other one is body. So I've even mentioned something that we would talk about something called meta tags in the next coming classes. So in this video, we will quickly understand what these meta tags are and then we will start adding actual content to our website using headings and paragraphs. So if we actually observe our HTML skeleton right now, remember I've told this is what we actually call it as default HTML5 structure, right? First, let's understand what head section in the HTML do have. You can clearly see that it do have two meta tags and one title tag. And whatever we write inside the title tag, I have already explained in the last class that it's going to be displayed in our web page tab of our web page. Okay. And then whatever content we write inside the body, it's going to display inside our page, inside our website, inside the page. So the head section usually contains information about the web page, but most of this information that you write apart from title, okay, apart from title, most of this information is not directly visible on the web page itself. Okay, so things like page title, meta information, styles, scripts, and other settings are usually written inside this head tag. Okay, so let us just try to talk about the meta tags very quickly so that we can quickly move on to headings and paragraphs. So first of all, meta tags provide metadata. Actually, let me write down some comments. Remember, I've explained in the last class that less than, exclamation, hyphen greater than symbol. Whatever you write in between this, it's going to be considered as a comment. So usually meta tags provide metadata, which basically means information about the web page. This information is mainly used by browsers and sometimes by search engines. Now, I hope you already know what search engines are. For example, Google, Firefox, Edge, Safari, etc. Now, the first thing, the meta charset UTF-8. Let's discuss about this. So, this meta tag that you do see, this tag defines the character encoding of the document. Again, writing this thing or mentioning this thing over here inside the head tag, is it important or is it mandatory? Well, frankly, no. But again, passing it is a really good practice. Okay. So UTF-8 supports almost all languages and characters, including English, Telugu, Hindi, symbols, and many more. So using UTF-8 ensures that text appears correctly on the web page. Okay, so that's the main point of using this meta tag security field. Next, let's discuss about this viewport tag, the meta viewport tag. I will copy that and let's bring it down over here. Actually, this is something very important that we actually need to have an idea about, but actually not right now though, but still let me explain what this tag is actually about. This meta tag is mainly used to make the web page responsive on different devices. See, remember earlier I have been clearly mentioning you that CSS is going to help us to make our web application responsive. So this tag is specifically used for the same and especially for mobile phones. Okay. So without just try to keep it like this, that without this tag, the web page might not display properly on smaller screens. Now let's jump into the body part and start discussing about adding some content to our web page. I hope things are clear between the two meta tags that we do have, and you now even do have an idea about what title is for, why do we use that, where it's going to be displayed. It's time to add some content to our web page. So earlier in the last class itself, we have already added some content to our web page, but there is this thing called h1 that I've used. Okay, the h1 basically is a heading tag. Okay, so let's discuss about these things actually. Before I write all the heading tags, necessary heading tags, again, I'm going to use some comments for the reference purpose for you. So basically, HTML provides 6 levels of headings, starting all the way from H1 to H6. Remember, all these heading tags are paired tags, which means they do have both opening and closing. Okay, so the H1 tag represents the most important heading, while H6, on the other hand, represents the least important heading. So there are few certain rules that you need to follow. Usually, when we start developing a web page, these headings should be taken one by one simultaneously, one after the other. For example, at the top, maybe at the header part, we have already used H1. Then after that, in any other section, if you do have another heading, then you need to pass that inside something called H2. And thankfully, you see rename tag extension we have used, we have installed it in the previous sessions. If you have not gone through it, please go through it. I have installed few necessary extensions for VS Code, which is going to help us to develop our web page faster. So, which mean basically why I am referring that thing right now is because if I change this thing to H3, automatically this tag also, I mean tag auto rename. Okay, I'll do H3. There you go, automatically it updates. I'll change this thing to heading 3. Likewise, 4, 5, 6, and heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. Okay, so this is basically all the 6 headings that I'm talking about. So usually once we are done with H1 at anywhere in the top, so if any other heading comes, then you need to continue with H2. Likewise, H3, H4, H5, and H6. But there is one more important thing that you actually need to understand. When a web page is built, H1 should be taken only once while developing the entire web page, yes, which usually represents the main title of the page, most probably. Okay, and basically, most importantly, you need to understand that the headings help create a structure or hierarchy for the web page content. Okay, so now that we are done understanding this, we have added some tags, right? H1 to H6. Let us see how they're displayed in the browser. You see that? So H1 being the very big of all, and H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, they gradually keep on decreasing. Now, let me tell you something very interesting tip that most of you people might know or might not. Most of the, I mean, at least when I used to go in college, I did not seriously got this much briefly introduced to all the heading tags where it was clearly mentioned why exactly this heading tags are displayed this big H1 and then H2 a little bit smaller, then H3, then H4, then H5, then H6. We literally used to understand that, okay, H1, whatever content we write in H1, it's going to display big, and then H2 a little bit smaller. Gradually, this keep on decreasing. So some magic is happening behind the scenes. But trust me, there is no magic. Basically, this is one very important thing that you actually need to understand. Please remember each and every element. Actually, let me keep it like this. Almost each and every element in HTML will be having some predefined CSS. Yes, every element in HTML will be having some CSS to it. The reason you're seeing H1 this much bigger is because H1 is having that much bigger amount of font size. Let me introduce you to something called developer tools, which is really very, very important that any developer should actually know. So when you right click on any element, you're going to get some options from which you need to click on inspect. And when you click on it, you see we are going to have something called elements tab. So entire HTML, you need to focus on the elements tab. So whatever we write inside the HTML document, you can see it over here. And currently H1 is what is selected. And if you come down, you see there is this thing called user agent style sheet, where you can clearly see that the font size of H1 is something called 2M. M basically is a certain different type of measurement. It's a unit, different unit though. Most of we know pixels, but basically 1 M is equal to 16 pixels. So currently H1 is having 32 pixels. Okay. And don't worry about the rest of the other properties. Basically, there is so much CSS that you might not understand right now. But eventually, in the future classes, we will discuss about these things once we jump into CSS. So just want to let you understand that the reason the settings are displaying like this is because predefined, it is mentioned to display it like that. So if I go to H2, you see it became 1.5M. H3 1.17. Let me tell you one more interesting thing. H4 is the only thing where the font size property is not mentioned though, but again H5 and H6 do have. So the reason the headings keep on decreasing its size is because predefinedly it is mentioned them to be displayed like that. Okay. So now that we have understood this thing, see, the reason this much clearly I'm explaining about all these things is it's not at all a good practice actually. When you try to if you try to take specifically something like you may definitely be having this thought in your brain right now that why can't I do H1 H1 H1? They are going to definitely come in the same size. Why can't I do this? Remember, I've told as per the rule, you should never do that. H1 should be only taken once while developing the entire web page. You cannot even do H2 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 H3 H3 H3. You cannot do like that also. I mean, if you do take it, doesn't come, it will definitely come though, but please never try to do like that. So, as per the rules, it is forbidden to take it like that. Make sure that you follow the cycle from H1 to H6. Now, you may be thinking after H6, if another heading comes, then what? You need to again start it from H2. As remember, I have told H1 can be taken only once while developing the entire web page. That's about the heading tags. But before we wrap it up with the heading tags, one small thing I would like to talk about, and that is we'll be having two set of tags, which is division and section tag. Now, the reason I'm talking about this thing right now, especially while discussing about the heading tags, is because when we use div tag, there is no certain rule that certain rule that there should definitely be a heading tag mentioned inside it, or It's something like when we take a division tag, inside the division tag, there is no need of taking any heading tag. I mean, at least there is no rule. You can take if you want, but there is no rule of taking a H1 tag. But on the other hand, if you use section tag though, whereas when we use section tag, there should definitely be one heading tag at least mentioned inside of it. Okay. So this is the rule, and trust me, this is really very important. So whenever you use a section tag, make sure that definitely you take a heading tag inside it for sure. So even though you take heading tag inside a division tag or not, it doesn't matter. It can take anything. Apart from even heading can be possible, but without that also it will still do the job. So, but when you do use section tag though, you should definitely take a heading tag inside it. That's the rule actually. And by the way, let me tell you, both division and heading tags are used for dividing our web application into multiple sections. Usually, our web page is going to have so many sections, right? Like, for example, we may be having some header tag, some sliders, some different sections. Okay, so many sections, three column layout, four column layout, and then some quick links and footer and all. Okay, so what this division tags and section tags are going to do is they are going to make sure to divide our web page into multiple sections. So, because of this main rule that I have explained just now about this heading tags to be mentioned inside division and section, division not necessary though, but if you use section, definitely we have to take section tag. That's the reason most of the websites, whenever you try to check any website, if you try to go and check their developer tools, you never see a section tag anywhere. You will see division tags only most of the times, all the way. Okay. Because who seriously want to take a headache of passing a section tag and ignore taking a H1 inside it, which is going to break the rule, right? So that's basically it with the heading tags. Hope you have understood. So you need to take them from H1 to H6. Okay. Now, one more thing that you might be thinking that if you take it like this, then the flow will be broken, right? I mean, no web page is going to have a heading way too big and simultaneously gradually dropping one by one after it, right? Excuse me. So let me just try to explain you the solution. But please don't worry, whatever I'm trying to type right now, even if you don't understand, it doesn't matter. Because once we jump into H6, I'll clearly explain you what exactly is happening. Okay, and what exactly I'm trying to do right now over here. Okay, so I'll do font size, 32 pixel, and something like margin to 0. Okay, so do you see that? Now everything comes in the same size. So what I've done is I've used an internal style sheet and just fraction of minutes before I've clearly mentioned that head tag is going to have meta tags, title tags, CSS tags, JavaScript, etc., etc. So this is I'm using an internal style sheet right now. So just to demonstrate, okay, even though if you don't understand, don't worry. Once we jump into CSS, I'll explain it though. But what I've done is we have never broken the rule, okay? It's as per HTML, it says that the heading should be taken like this. But if we use HTML rules, then it would be something like this. But all the headings should be in the same size, right? So that's the reason we are not manipulating HTML though, but with the help of CSS, we are changing the appearance or the look of the web page. That's what CSS is basically used for. Okay? Sure. So now that we're done with the heading tags, then we do have something called paragraph tags. So let's just try to understand paragraph tags. So paragraph tags are defined in a p tag, and yes, they are paid tags. So this is how you are going to take, and you can say this is a paragraph. So sorry, ignore my cough. Yeah. So you can clearly see that, right? So this is how the paragraphs are going to display in our web page. Okay. And yeah, I know as per English, paragraph is something which do have a bulky amount of content, but in HTML, this much simple few couple of words also can be enclosed within inside the paragraph tags. Okay. So one thing that you actually have to remember over here is that this tags are used to write normal text content on a web page, and paragraphs are commonly used for descriptions, explanations, blog content, articles, and many other types of text. Okay, so please remember there is a certain behavior when we are working with paragraphs. Paragraphs are something called block level elements, which means they automatically start in a new line. Okay, same goes with heading tags also. Now, don't worry about what are these block level elements and do we have any other elements apart from block level? Yes, we do have. We will try to discuss about that thing in the next coming section. Okay, so don't worry about it. But yeah, as of now, this is basically everything about the heading tags and paragraph tags. Okay, now see one small thing I would like to discuss about, and we will try to wrap it up for today's video. That is, see, HTML is going to ignore the white spaces. For example, let me say my name is, after so much gap, I'll say Avani. Let me save this thing, and if I go to the browser, you see, it's going to ignore the white spaces. So keep this thing in mind. Now there is a specific tag that we can use if you want to have this white space also to be responded in the browser. Now, if you already know, please let me know what the tag is inside the comments. And if you do have any queries also, please keep me posted in the comments. I'll definitely read all the comments and I'll get back to you guys. Now, one task is there for you guys. If you guys have understood the concept for today, I would like you guys to create a web page where I want you to take any six celebrities, okay, your favorite celebrities. You can take the help of Wikipedia. So I want you to create a web page in a pattern of like the celebrity name inside a heading, and immediately next to the heading, some information about him or her inside the paragraph. Likewise, take another heading to another celebrity name, and again some information about celebrity 2 inside a paragraph. So it should be something like H1 paragraph, H2 paragraph, H3 paragraph, H4 paragraph, H5 paragraph, H6 paragraph. So that's the task for you guys. So kindly work on it. And if you're facing any difficulty in doing the same, please let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to assist you with the same. Okay. So we will continue with the next concepts, understanding block level and inline elements and text formatting tags. So please subscribe to the channel, Code with Abhinay, for some amazing content. And thank you so much. We'll catch up in the next video.